Let's watch this replay. This replay is really funny. I got sacked. No, it's not. It's not always what happens. It's just usually what happens. All right. So this is just goat control versus Master Chief's aggro. I don't know what's in his aggro deck, but I don't think it's that good. All right, so let's look at this. Let's take a look at this. So I go first. I think my play going blind. I don't really want to like jar immediately. So I just go merchant set book and I'm like pass. I think that's probably correct because I want to save the Saki for a souk on my potential turn. And the book also setting the book also makes the faith live if I want to go that route later. So this is pretty standard opening. He goes Sangan. I'm like, okay, well, shit. I don't really want to run. I don't really want to book this. Kills that. I mill dust. And I also cheat a little bit here. You'll see in a bit. But I know that he's on aggro. So I go set jar because set fate doesn't really do a whole lot, and I don't really want to run this over into 2 backs. One of which is obviously a battle trap, mirror force. I didn't know that at the time, but like I kind of made the read. It could also be torrential. There's just no reason to attack here. So I go set jar, set dust, and then I can just go like dust, set something. He sets abyss for some odd reason. This actually just makes very little sense to me. I don't really know why he would do that. Like, if you're gonna read jar and set your entire back row, like it's pretty obvious. Like, I don't know. I just don't really see the point of trying to play around mirror force. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. So it also makes my nobleman live for no reason. So he's gonna swing. I'm gonna go dust, pop the new set my goats, flip jar, and then just draw 5. He's gonna draw 5 as well. He actually draws pretty stupid off this, all things considered. I think if I were him, I'd just set the compulse and pass. Honestly. He's gonna dust my new set for seemingly no reason. Sets the compulse and passes. I'm going to see here. So here I have a few plays. I could set the goat. But I feel like this is likely like some spell trap removal or something, which is hence like the dust. I don't know really get the dust play. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Maybe he thought it was like a Trinity piece, but I mean that's fair actually. So I'm like, well, I should probably be aggressive here because sitting back doesn't really look like it's gonna accomplish a whole lot, especially because he drew 5 and I didn't see a knockdown. So setting the faith is kind of out of the question for me. It's also nothing to get back. The Abyss Soldier could also bait a back row, and then like the goat meta play goes through, right? So that was my mindset. I think I just go Abyss, kill the Sangan. I don't attack this because I know that it's like aggro. At this point, because I don't know, I saw this. So I'm thinking this is DD Warrior Lady. That's the thing. So I just kill the Sangan. I'm like, okay, well I can trigger the Sangan. He can probably get something like Sinister Serpent, and I'll be fine. And I'll live with the result. So I end up making the play that Abyss here over the Sangan's correct. This ends up running into a mirror force, which is strange, but it works out. Here I set the goat and I pass. He's gonna heavy. I'm gonna chain the goats and I'm gonna chain the book on this, just in case he has like souk. He can't just go like summon souk for no reason. I chain the goat first. This is actually really important because if he has Solemn, then actually, I guess it doesn't really matter, but like, I think in the moment I was like, if he has like Solemn, then I'd rather him Solemn the. Actually, it doesn't really matter because yeah, it doesn't really matter. But I just chain goat and then I chain book. I think it doesn't really matter what you chain first, right? Because if he has Solemn, you're just negating it anyways. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I guess if anything, you should actually chain book to bait the Solemn, and then because if he has Solemn, he's gonna like chain from Solemn anyways. So yeah, I don't think it matters. It's a very minor thing. Never mind. Ignore that. He rose for Zalug for like seemingly no reason, outside of the fact that it might be his only warrior left in deck, which is just a bit like just doesn't make sense because I know for a fact he plays Exiled. So I have no idea what this Rhoda is here. I think it's just to thin the deck before he graces, but he has no reason to do that. This is like Engage. So like you definitely draw first and then you search because this is not a static search. So this Rhoda makes 0 sense. This Rhoda is actually really, really awful. I was very confused. I was like, did he just like draw Prem? Or like did he like set a 0 and then he's gonna like rip my hand? That's what I thought. So ends up going for that. Like, it's like he has more warriors in deck. I don't know why he wrote it there. That just doesn't make sense. So he's playing pretty poorly here. I think he goes dump Blade, dump Nobleman, I believe. Dumps the Zalug. I don't think that's correct. Because he can start rolling my hand afterwards. If anything, you should have just held that. Like, he just wrote it and then dumped it, and it just doesn't make sense. Maybe he wants to make me, like, I don't know, scared of, like, his opposing BLS, but, like, I'm just kind of under the assumption that he doesn't play it, and if he does even play it, then I'm just kind of lose to it anyways. So he goes hit 3, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he ends up setting his whole hand because he has Solemn Knock, which makes sense. So here I'm gonna heavy because I need to get something going. So he Solemns. I go. If I pot here, he's not gonna Solemn it. So using this pot as a pot bait, as like a Solemn bait doesn't make sense. I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because I would still have 4 in hand. And using the Solemn there just doesn't make a lot of sense when like I still have cards in hand to use. I'm gonna pot here. I'm gonna meta, and I'm gonna steal the Abyss Soldier. Attempt to steal the Abyss Soldier, and just stall. Ends up having Compulse though, which kind of blows me out of the water. I kind of lose from here. I go set Faith, and then I set Knock as a bluff because I know Storm's gone. And I pass, and then he goes bounce my back row, knock my Faith, and then I lose. I basically just lose the game from here. There's not a whole lot I can do. You'll see like even after this turn, like I actually draw the stones and it doesn't even matter. I just 2 for 1 here. So and then I just kill, draw 1. So I'm like I go up like 3 cards for no reason, and then I'm like, well I still can't. And then I just set both and I pass. And then he topped Berserk, and I'm like, well that sucks. Rolls the Berserk, kills this. I'm like, this is actually still fine because if I can just like sit on I can just like emergency dump my merchants, and I'll be fine. Do I end up setting Sangan here instead? I don't think I do. No, yeah, I don't. I just go like, okay, I'm probably gonna die if he has another monster, so I'm gonna just take this and like stall. And he tops call, and then he's gonna like bring back the Abyss Soldier. I'm gonna die for it. Draws Blade. He's gonna call. He's gonna normal summon Blade. He's gonna bounce that. Yeah, he's gonna bounce that. He's gonna normal summon Blade, and then I think I just die from here. Oh, yeah, she doesn't normal summon the Blade. Interesting. I think that makes sense actually. I'm gonna book it. So the reason I book this is because if I don't like, I have to like book it anyways and then book Knock, and that's the only way I can remove it. He ends up not killing my Sangan, which is actually saves his ass because I would have gone DD War Lady and then I would have just killed, and then he has to trade, and that puts him in a very awkward situation. I think here I just knock and I pass. I could kill this, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you can just get DD War Lady, trade, and then I'm on nothing. So I just knock pass. As I'm topping Solemn, takes a Serpent back. And then I think this basically kills me. Yeah, because I have to get DD War Lady. My only targets in deck are, I believe, DD War Lady, Serpent, and that's it. And the Serpent doesn't do anything in this game state. I could also get Merchant, but no, my Merchant's gone, never mind. Those are the only 2 things I had left. So again, DD War Lady is better for sure. I'm at 13. I need to draw like a Battle Trap here, and I don't, because I draw Air Knight instead, and I'm like, well, fuck me. So I go set Lady. Actually, no, I guess set Suit, because if he has another monster, I just die. And so I'm drawing Kaiku. And I'm like, okay, now I need to draw a Battle Trap like this turn, like right now. And I have 2 left in deck, and I think it's possible, but I don't do it. So because I don't draw a Battle Trap, I just give it up. I'm like, well, fuck me. Next game. Next game. Now this game I actually play very, very, very risky, and I'll highlight it in a minute. But I play this very ballsy. So I'm like, okay, this hand's like weird, but it's like playable. I think I just go TT. So the reason I do this is because if he has Breaker, I can just Torrential it. If he has Wanghu, I can also Torrential it. And I don't really want to do that because I don't know if he plays a Zero or a Tribe or something, and then he just nuke all my tokens for no reason. We saw Tribe the game before, so I'm like, well, I'll just play patient with my goats. Go Sang, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the 1,000. It's no big deal. Sets 2 passes. I go Serpent. I'm like, okay, let me pass again. He goes War Lady. I'm like, okay, this is fine. I have a Saku, and I don't really care that much about Exiled, I think. Actually, I should care about Exiled. Yeah, you'll see what happens. You'll see what happens. I was thinking he'd get Sook, but he's smart and he gets Exiled. I was thinking the token could also help me stall too. So someone also told me I could TT here. I think in hindsight that's actually better. At the time I was like, well, this just triggers this for no reason, but I think, and like, if he has Wanghu later on, then it's not great. Because you can just sit on it and then I can't do a whole lot. I think there's pros and cons. I think this also helps you stall a bit more. So I end up not doing it. I just go for the 2-for-1 with this play. Hits 2, and then he's gonna set 1 and pass. He's gonna dust the T anyway, so it's fine. I'm gonna Storm here. So I'm gonna Grace first, I believe, because I don't know what I want to do. I might not actually go off this turn, but chances are I have to. I baits out a Solemn, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but cool. Yeah, because I could have just done something different. Like, had I, like, drawn, I don't know, like, Abyss, I could go, like, Abyss, bounce, swing. There's a lot of things I could do differently. I don't have to meta this turn. He ends up using Solemn on it, which doesn't make any sense. I also wasn't expecting this to get Solemned. Because, I mean, I have 5 cards in hand. Like, Solemn on this just doesn't make sense. So I'm like, okay, let me Storm you. The reason I Storm here, for one, is because this gives him the impression that I can set more later, and then the Mobius will just run him over. So here I just steal, and I kill him. I kill the Sang, and he's gonna get exiled off this, which makes sense. I was hoping he gets Sook, but no, this isn't a mirror. So I set that and I pass. Go for Dust. Goes exiled, tribute pop. Sets the Saku and passes. Now here I make a very, very ballsy play. My play here is honestly the stall, but I'm like, I want to apply pressure. So I make the very, very, very dumb play of setting my Serpent, and I'm like, he doesn't have Nobleman, it's fine. Had he drawn Nobleman or had he seen it in this top 10, I would have been fucked. Because if he had like Nobleman Monster, I just lose. So I definitely should have just waited, but I ended up just setting the Serpent, and then it kind of works, I think. I think it sort of works. He draws Solemn. He's gonna dust my Saku. He's gonna Prem. Now here, if he's smart, he goes Prem for exiled, kill this, pop that. But I guess he wants the tempo for whatever reason, so that's fine. He's gonna set 2, and this ends up working out purely in my favor. So I'm like, okay, let me just tribute this off. Summon the Mobius, bait the Solemn out. He drops down to 1325. So 1350. I set the Decree and I pass, and I'm at like 7,000, so I'm fine. And I have meta in my hand. Ends up just poking me. Just the Compulsion passes, and then I draw Pot, and I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty good. I go Pot. I literally see the 2 cards that would let me win this game right now, and it's MST and Abyss, and I'm just like, okay, let me MST the back row. And then I will Abyss to bounce the Sangan and swing for lethal, and that ends up winning me the game. So that game, I feel like I definitely should have not set the Serpent, but it ends up working out in my favor. But I think the risk reward was not in my favor, honestly speaking. Or at any rate, I should have just waited and done that play maybe a few turns later. I think I'll play also, actually, because the set Serpent play loses to Nobleman, but the Wait play loses to Wang Hu, so there's a bit of a trade-off there, because I can just tribute Pop and then, yeah. But he drew Solemn anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, no biggie. I ended up like pondering this play a lot, and I'm like, let me just everyone who saw the play was like, sure. I asked like, was that I told the GoatFormat.com Discord, I was like, this is probably wrong, and they're like, no, it's just like, accept the fact you read that he didn't have Nobleman. And I was like, there's no way to do that because I didn't set a monster the entire game before that. So I just had to pray. Let's first summon Wang, who sets 4 and passes. He has... So set Rhoda I actually don't agree with. I'd rather set Knock here. Because you can still pressure a set, and the Rhoda is actually really important. I draw. I'm going to go... Pot. He doesn't negate it. And I'm like, oh shit, my hand is nuts. I have Mirror Force, Juji, a way to make Tur, and I have Breaker, and I'm like, okay, I feel pretty fucking good at this game. Goes for Nobleman. And she goes for Rhoda. I'm not really sure why. He goes for Warrior Lady. I don't know why he wrote it here. That doesn't make sense to me. I would just normal summon the Blade, knock this if I really think it's... I wouldn't even knock. I would just... I actually think the knock is warranted. I would just knock, and then I would just swing. And I have a Solemn to back me up, so I feel pretty good. But the Rhoda here is just doesn't make sense to me. Generally speaking, you want to summon all your monsters before you use Rhoda, because Rhoda can be literally any warrior, and the warrior toolbox is so huge. It's like playing Engage. Like, you want Engage to kind of be the last thing that you activate after you've baited the rest of your opponent's interaction. I let this go through. I don't usually use Solemn on it because it means I'm one step closer to Solemning his back row. I'm just making sure that all my plays go through. It's also not very... Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when I have Mirror Force down anyways. He's going to normal summon the Warrior Lady. I'm going to let these two go through. I'm not gonna Mirror Force here. Because it's not lethal, and I want to protect the Merchant next turn. Let's let go through. He's gonna bounce it, which is whatever. And now I'm like staring down potential lethal, so I'm like, okay, he's gonna normal summon the Blade, and then I'm like, okay, well, I just like win because I have double Solemns if these are both Solemns and only one of them is, and I just nuke his board. He goes Solemn. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use my own. Ends up going through. And then he just loses. He basically loses from here. I am drawing to being a +4 on him, and I'm like, okay, let me just Breaker. So the reason I Breaker here is because I don't want to set the Merchant. If I set the Merchant and he goes like Storm Blade or some shit, well, actually Storm Blade doesn't even save him. But I'm like, I want to hold the Merchant in the odd chance I need to set it in emergency like Tur. So I'm like, let me just Breaker and start applying pressure while he has nothing. This also potentially forces Tarantula Ring, which he ends up having. So I end up deciding that Breaker's the right play. Pop that. He's gonna ring for 16. I'm gonna drop down to 800, and then I'm going to pass. He's going to pot. I'm going to Solemn this. Now the reason I Solemn this is actually because he's out one in hand, and there's no way I can die because the ring's gone. So the only way I die is if a monster attacks me, and I have Saku. So we're perfectly fine. So I let that go through. So sorry, I negate that. And then he goes normal summon. And I'm just gonna Saku that, and I pass. So he passes. So here I set Sangan. Now the reason I set Sangan is the same reason as before. I don't want to set the Merchant, and because if I need to emergency tur, then I have level 1 in my hand, and then setting the Sangan also means that I can search something if it dies. And you'll see that actually ends up happening. Draws Blade, he's gonna kill it. I'm gonna get my Serpent here, so now my 1000 Eyes is now free, and I'm recurring Serpent every turn. So I go set Serpent, meta, take it, swing 16, and now the game is basically sealed, because even if he tops Sook, I can just widespread it, and we're fine. And then he tops the Dust Shoot, and we win. So that's the game. Very nice game. This puts me 3-0 against Master Chief. Feels good, man. Feels pretty good, man. I'm glad the double Solemn's put in work. People are like, don't side this against Aggro. You don't want to lose life. And I'm like, dude, like, shut up. TLDR, I had more Solemns than him, and I won because of it. That's literally the TLDR. And, like, it pushes your plays through, and it even negates summons if you really want to. And if you're at low life, which oftentimes you will be, like, I'm at 400 right now, the cost is negligible, honestly, because you're going to die from a hit anyways. So that's the game. People still believe that Solemn sucks against Aggro. Does not make sense to me whatsoever. Just play it. Just try it out yourself and you'll enjoy it. Trust me. So yeah, that's the match. That is indeed the match. And then everyone just leaves. I think Chief could have actually won that. I think he could have too, honestly. There were definitely some questionable things he did. Very, very questionable things. Now, having said that, I don't think he also plays Aggro very much. So, yeah. I think the set Serpent play was the only thing that I potentially kind of, you could call like a fuck up. I think everything else for the most part, I think was pretty clean, and I was pretty happy with how I played this match. Yeah, the set Serpent's like very debatable. It's like, do you want to risk it for the biscuit and like lose to Nobleman, or do you want to lose to Wang Hu? And I was like, well, the chance of him drawing Wang Hu is higher than him actually having Nobleman, so I'll just lose to Knock, I guess. But at the same time, like, he could have also been holding it, so it's very, very, very like borderline. I think honestly, like, being more patient would have been the better play. I like how you knew your side and still lost, right? Yeah, I know that. I know. It's funny. And still decided to run 3 monsters into 5 aggro. I know, it's funny. It's funny. He was like, oh, I have game. Let me just do it. Morps Papega, dude. Morps Papega is in chat.